Ryze, he's actually been spamming this in Korean solo queue. So very different comps coming out from both sides. Obviously, Ryze a lot more known for, you know, being more of a side lane threat, but also opens up a bunch of like cheeky plays around the map with your realm warp. We've seen a lot of like sneaky Barons come out.
Yeah, with correct positioning as well, can be a real teamfight terror if you're able to get the EQ combos out continuously.
It's very rough.
It's AD carry style.
Yes, exactly. It's very much like a DPS. Once again, we use the word artillery style champion, just constantly putting out damage. But
and, I mean, artillery is a really good word to bring up as well, because on the other side of the board, we got this Lux Caitlyn, right? Like they are all about setting up for artillery. But there is massive long-range kill threat from the side of eStar here with the ace in the hole with Lux's laser plus Karthus' ultimate. Like, you could be full health. If they're fed, they're going to one-shot you anyway.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, those Karma Shields are going to really need to be massive, but if eStar can get ahead, I mean, you're right. They could literally just one-shot JackeyLove without even being anywhere close to JackeyLove. So seeing how these team fights are going to break out is going to be really interesting, right? Because Kate and Lux wanting to play from a distance to where Karthus, Sett, and Camille all want to go get right in the middle of the fight. And that's going to feel really good, especially against a Ryze who needs to be in close range to deal that DPS that you just talked about.
We'll have to see if he's going to be able to get in close range here on the Ryze, or if it's going to be more of a side lane kind of game for Knight. But Fenfen with this Sett mid. He's one of the few players that is still really, really loving the Sett mid, using it to push out the wave and then just roam, get elsewhere on the map. We've got the Caitlyn Lux combo as well in the bottom lane. This is an exciting game that we've got on our hands here, and I'm loving what eStar have brought to the table. So we've talked a little bit about what these potential team fights might look like, the potential win conditions, but talk to me a little bit about the pacing of this game. Who's the team that are going to be really putting their front foot forward here?
I think it's definitely close, but I'd say it's top esports who want to be doing that, right? We have the Lee Sin in the jungle and this Ashe in the bot lane. So you're going to have something like an Ornn coming out later for the Karma, but I mean, Karthus in the late game is such a terror. Camille's a terror. We've talked about the Caitlyn many, many times. So we want to see Karsa really getting onto the map early and affecting these lanes, especially the bot lane. I feel like that's where we're going to see most of this action really ramp up, who can stack these early dragons, and especially at the level 6 point where top esports have that reliable engage tool from the Ashe. That's one of the reasons why over the years she's been so good in the Caitlyn as well, because you just have that strong 3v3 pressure.
Certainly one of the picks that does well into the Caitlyn, as you rightly say. And it's worth mentioning that Caitlyn, one of these champions that, generally speaking, historically has been one of the safest AD carries to blind pick because it does so well during the laning phase. There are very few champions that... First off, there are very few champions that can pressure it necessarily, but also there are very few champions that can withstand the damage you can do. Ashe falls into that category, though, with the harass out of the volley and just the range on the auto attacks as well.
And we do see that Wei went Dark Harvest, which is the standard when you go in Karthus. And so Karthus started seeing a resurgence again. I think it was 10, 13, or 14 where his Q got changed.
Oh my
I'm going to slow down.
ShiauC's in trouble here. Like, they're not going to properly commit to this one, but already things looking pretty fantastic for top esports in that 2v2.
Yep, already doing good, but going back, Karthus' Q got more damage reductions on minions, but that doesn't really matter if you kite the camps properly because its damage overall just got buffed, so going to be doing a lot more in these early team fights and skirmishes. So Wei already doing quite a good job of, you know, starting and farming his camps, already doing 3 to only Karsa's 2.
And that's the important thing, right, is the reason that this Karthus is a strong pick is the sheer speed at which you can clear that jungle. You can see Fenfen. We talked about the reason you pick this set is clear that wave and get out on the map. Already at level 2 trying to make that happen.
Yeah, doing well to get down vision to make sure Karsa isn't looking for any greedy plays because let's remember, Karthus is a bit vulnerable in the early game. Like, he actually surprisingly strong in a lot of 1v1 duels, but it's so dependent on you obviously hitting your Qs, which, I mean, isn't easy. Someone's not just going to stand there and take all your Q. Oh, God.
Oh, no. Kited a little bit too far. The graphic on the bottom of your screen is just letting you know that top esports, if they can win this series, they guarantee that them, JDG and IG, are all guaranteed at least top 3, and then it just comes down to tiebreakers and whatnot, and the remaining series for the other teams. If they lose this series, I believe top esports still going to be guaranteed top 4 at very least.
You know, I want to see if Wink goes with the build we've been talking about, right, where you stack the F-Sword item.
The trap comes on through. That's a lot of damage onto yuyanjia.
Because we talked about the headshot damage setting up the Karthus ult, right? And that build is the one that does it, not the traditional, like, IE into 2 Zeal items build, which is what we've been seeing every LPL AD carry build.
So what you're saying is, lethality Caitlyn about to come through for the ace in the hole damage.
Hey, I'm for it.
So a lot of damage coming down onto yuyanjia. One more auto. ShiauC flashes for the kill. Wink survived as well as JackeyLove suddenly realizes he's in a bit of trouble here. The light bind lands the trap to follow up as well. JackeyLove flashes. Wall of Pain is there for the slow and the defile. Or the Decimate, sorry, finishes off the kill. eStar looking fantastic.
And this is the same way we've seen top esports punished time and time again, is through their bot lane, just not being able to stack up in lane against a lot of our more proficient bot lanes. Great job by eStar to pick up these 2 kills, especially on the Karthus. It's going to be massive if you can get him snowballing very early on.
Karsa just got spotted out there by Xiaobai as well. Obviously, Xiaobai not going to be able to contest for this crump, but just giving information to Wei on where Karsa is on the map, what he's doing right now, and we'll be able to play around that. Fantastic start. But you're absolutely right in that this is the way that top esports has been punished. When we look at the teams that they've lost to, teams like V5, teams like RNG, that are able to really put their foot forward in that bottom lane.
And I remember I was looking up at the stats last week to where in like the very early game, eStar were #1 in almost everything. They had the most first bloods in the league. They had the most first turrets in the league. Like when it came to early game aggression, eStar were great at that. And that's where, like you're saying right now, that's where top esports have been punished.
Wei's going to continue to power farm things up though. And this is, as I was trying to say before that fight kicked off in the bottom lane, one of the biggest strengths of Karthus is the sheer speed at which you clear that jungle. It's just disgusting. If left to his own devices, if this is just a matter of scaling, Wei's going to come ahead so far ahead of Karsa.
And that's why people, like when the damage reduction to monsters came out on the latest, again, it was supposed to be a nerf is the way they phrased it, but it was definitely a buff, was like, hey, if you kite the camps properly, you actually don't feel like any reduction in speed, and now you just get more damage on your Q for these skirmishes.
So far, so good here for eStar, and I'm impressed by that bottom lane as well. And this is the power of this Lux-Caitlyn combo. I mean, people will remember along a while ago the Kate Morgana combo where you land a binding, you can follow it with the trap. Lux does the same thing, except the binding can also go through one minion, so it's even easier to land that combo. We saw the combo landing onto both JackeyLove and yuyanjia during that skirmish.
Yeah, and obviously Karma, you know, as we've seen, was a decent answer because, you know, you get the speed up from the shield in itself, you know, helping through a lot of that damage. But JackeyLove and yuyanjia not having the fancy feed, also setting up for the Caitlyn trap to allow all that damage. And now the fact that we see JackeyLove having no summoners is why we see top esports bot lane respecting so much.
One thing to watch out for as well as Karsa moves into this bottom lane is how well Wink and ShiauC are going to be able to do on dodging out some of the damage and CC that can come back, because both Lux and Caitlyn fairly immobile. ShiauC going to spot out Karsa though. Even though he's level 6, he can't make much happen.
Yeah, so with the position of the wave, I feel like Karsa felt like he needed to be here because you could predict that eStar were setting up for a play bot side, but
they're setting up for a play top side instead. Wei's moving in. Hextech ultimatum onto Xiaobai, but 369 can't finish the kill. Wei grabs his second of the game.
So earlier on, before broadcast, me and Munch were having a conversation where I told him, hey, one of the massive problems with top esports is they love to play aggressive on both sides of the map. And this sets them up for opportunities like this where they do get punished quite often. And typically it's the opposite side where Karsa's playing around top and we see JackeyLove and yuyanjia over-aggressing in bot lane. That's what's gotten them punished in the past. But we have seen it more recently with 369, even up against RNG.
And it does feel like top esports regularly these days, ever since MSC basically, really slowed down their playstyle very consciously. They said in an interview during MSC, like, look, we're going to play like the Koreans play. We're going to slow things down. We're going to play for team fights in the late game and just win through mechanics. They ain't winning through mechanics right now as yuyanjia forced away. But it feels like they're giving up too much in the early game.
It's funny that they swapped to that style as we've seen all the top LCK teams get more aggressive. But, you know, we were also talking about this, that I'd never say that top esports were an insane early game team, right? They always took things at more of their own pace. It wasn't necessarily like an LGD.
Oh my goodness. ShiauC cannot miss a binding right now.
I mean, ShiauC is still one of the best players on this team. Him and Wei, I think, have really showed up all split long. ShiauC, I think, had a bit of a dip early on, but in more recent series, I think, has really come back to form. So, great to see this coming out from them.
It's worth remembering as well, like, how hyped ShiauC was in Spring Split. Like, I think a lot of fans have forgotten the eStar story from Spring, where they did look like this exceptional world-beating team.
They were the V5.
They were the V5 of Spring, right? Where, well, it's kind of a weird sentence to say when you think about V5 in spring, but like they came in as these super hyped rookies. People all over the world. I remember people on Twitter from other regions talking about ShiauC, talking about his hooks and how great of a support he was. He's still that player. ShiauC's still exceptional.
He was voted on the first team for LPL. Like he was the best support in the league in spring, and I feel like that wasn't ridiculous to say. And sure, obviously after playoffs, you know, Lumao winning the final MVP, Lumao playing much better in playoffs, but during the regular split, ShiauC was the man that, you know, got eStar up there, and great to see, especially with this duo, because we know they play so much around winning bot lane. That was like the special sauce in spring. That's what Caitlyn Lux does so well, especially when you're outskilling the enemy, hitting all of your skill shots, and now going to turn that into a Herald.
Becomes very difficult. Like, this is what I was talking about right at the very start, right? Is that Caitlyn is incredibly strong during the laning phase. Ashe, one of the few AD carries that can withstand some of that damage, but if you're getting hit by Lux bindings and the traps can come through, the traps are the difference between Caitlyn being a strong laner and Caitlyn dominating every single lane matchup. If those traps can land, you're doomed. ShiauC might be doomed here, as the Sonic Wave does land, I believe, but no follow through there. It's just going to be Knight taking a good chunk of damage instead here. Fenfen with a great answer.
Yeah, and I feel like that play was a bit forced by TS. They're going to keep going and try to get some aggressive vision.
ShiauC has some damage considering his lack of AP. Ace in the hole there. And, well, we talked about long-range kills. We got to see it at 10 minutes into the game.
I mean, we have a 2-0 Karthus who's gotten to free farm this whole game. Like, this looks really dicey for TS. We said TS are the team that need to accelerate.
And the hilarious thing is, Karthus didn't even get an assist. His ult was too late. Like, that was a long-range kill without Karthus even having to be a part of it.
And, I mean, still, we look at top and mid, right? Top esports soul laners are ahead, but once again, JackeyLove and yuyanjia going down. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that was an oh, goodness.
Yeah, the Q damage hits its max damage if you stand on a trap. Like, it doesn't matter how many minions it goes through, it's going to be a full damage pelt over Peacemaker. And if there are no minions in the way, it scales incredibly well with AD.
Yeah, so, I mean, this goes back to what we said coming into the match. Like, I mean, it was a bit of a joke, a bit of a meme. They extremely suck, but man, TS are not looking good.
Yeah.
How does this happen?
Like, dude, I predicted Top Esports to win spring. I was so hyped on this team before JackeyLove was even a part of the equation. And now it just feels like, I don't know.
Nice decisiveness coming out from Fenfen to flash to get all that damage down, and then, you know, we see the Caitlyn finishing it off. And, you know, when me and you had the conversation, whatever it was, like a month ago, of, you know, oh, man.
Maybe they peaked too early.
Maybe this was before they started losing. This is when they were winning that we brought up that question, like, hey, that'll be a bad thing if this is their peak. And, like, it actually came.
The thing is, we weren't talking in context of LPL. We were talking in context of
Worlds.
We were like, it's still months until the end of Worlds. Like, they're going to have to look good for so long. Bit of a terrible flash from xiaoC. But, like, we were talking, like, you know, hey, in a few months' time, can they keep this up? And then immediately, like, a week later, it all starts to fall apart. Wall of Pain going to get a really good slow here from Wei. Ace in the hole onto Karsa. It's not often that the jungler is the one stuck under the tower getting dived, but here we are. Karsa gets a nice kick, goes in onto Fenfen, but Haymaker keeps Fenfen alive. The shielding, the healing, the guardian from xiaoC. I feel like I'm watching spring. This is what I would expect from eStar versus Top Esports way back in spring.
Yeah, and they're doing such a great job. Even answering pressure on the opposite side of the map with Xiaobai immediately TPing over. They should be able to pick up this top lane turret for free, and they're going to lose nothing on the map. Sure, okay, I guess I'm wrong. They're losing a dragon, but you're not losing any gold. You're not losing, you know, anything worthwhile.
There's going to be a couple of turret plates in the mid lane there as well. Importantly, for Top Esports, with the Cloud and Mountain to start this game off, at least these Drakes are going to be valuable for them. It's going to be an Ocean Soul, which always is a fantastic soul to get. Doesn't matter what your composition is. However, Wink is going to be able to finish this tower off. This is going to be the second tower of the game. This is going to be the second tower where they get all 5 plates.
And this is the traditional way that you see this sort of comp played out, right? Where you have them in the bot lane. They take the turret pretty much through 2v2 advantage, rotate them top, take this turret. Now we're going to see them probably move to mid and, you know, Fenfen be the one to go sit in the side lane.
And I think, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, they're just going to have so much pressure from Fenfen, you know, being able to instantly clear the wave, move over Xiaobai as well. The Karthus ultimate, we should be expecting to take down this mid lane turret pretty soon.
And I do quickly want to touch on the topic of like how Caitlyn is essentially meant to be played, what the strengths of this champion are, because obviously still very new in the meta. As you can see, the gold divided by lanes here, and we're talking about the Caitlyn. Wink is almost 2,000 gold up in his lane matchup at 13 minutes. Same can be said for Wei. That is a disgusting lead in favor of eStar right now, but the way that Caitlyn works and the way that you want to play Caitlyn is very much in the set-up, preemptive fights, not necessarily in spur-of-the-moment skirmishes.
Exactly. Again, I said this when me and you were casting the other day, that I use the word artillery for Caitlyn because you want to be set in one place. You want to get your traps down. Like, all the setup needs to be there. The vision needs to be perfect. You're a very fragile champion. You don't have any kinds of, like, attack speed steroids or anything like that. You really just want to be abusing your range advantage.
369 not going to have a good time in this matchup either because, I mean, it's Camille. She does true damage. She is great into these tanks. This is the dream matchup for Camille, realistically.
I mean, especially when we now even see ShiauC hovering over, getting deep vision for him. You also have to always worry about Karthus ult coming down, so there's just so much pressure around the map from eStar's comp like we talked about.
It's really scary. And, I mean, they have amazing siege. They have amazing side lane from Xiaobai as well. If anyone gets low, as you mentioned, the Requiem coming out from Wei can just devastate everyone. There's a follow-up ace in the hole and final spark out of the bot laners. Like, you really cannot misstep against this composition. I'm actually, when you look at this on paper, I talked about this as a fun composition coming out from eStar, but I actually really like what they've drafted in the way that if you make a mistake, this composition is really going to punish.
I agree. I mean, I love it. And I also love that we're seeing Wei, you know, get that Oblivion Orb now, has the Sorcerer Shoes. So no MR on the other side this early in the game from how far ahead he snowballed. He's going to hit like a truck with these ultimates right now. Especially, I mean, he's the only AP, I guess the Lux as well, right? But as we said, this Lux is a much more supportive in build and even with her runes. That itemizing for Wei is just going to be such an inconvenience for the side of TS.
Yeah. I'm really curious how many Dark Harvest stacks he has already in the game as well. It's going to be 4 so far. Because I wasn't sure because obviously he missed 1 or 2 of those assists, but it's going to be on 4 stacks. And he's going to be able to grab himself a Rift Herald as well. So this snowball continues. As one thing I will say for Karsa is that at least every time eStar are doing something, he's off on the other side of the map, at least trying to get some camps, but it doesn't feel like a chicken camp is going to be worth a Rift Herald.
Problem is they can't contest right now, right? Like, they've just fallen so far behind. I mean, it's 5K gold lead, and with that Herald, eStar will now for sure be able to drop this mid turret. You know, we already see both sides, not both sides, I'm sorry, top lane pushing, so we're going to see Fenfen head mid right now, and the second they just group up and lean is 4 or 5, it's going to be a secured mid turret for them.
Beautiful stuff here from eStar.
Looks like it's going to be instant, actually, if you look at the minimap. Caitlyn just TP back mid.
You can see them all moving over. It's interesting that we see so much of the TP on AD carries now as well, and the heal coming through for the supports. What is the logical line here to go for your TP on your AD carry, as opposed to getting the heal and then having an ignite or an exhaust on your support?
I think it's especially when you look at the fact that you don't necessarily need the double combat spells to play out your laning phase. I mean, even this lane, right? You are looking more to set up replays, and especially when the enemy had the counter pick, like in a sense, right? They took the Ashe, they preemptively took the Karma. I think eStar just saying, hey, we don't need to play to win the lane. They can't really threaten turret plates. We can't really threaten turret plates. Let's just take this more to get tempo on the map, set up for those topside plays like we'd already saw, and it definitely just gives you more flexibility throughout the game.
So it's basically just saying, hey, we forego the laning phase, we're good.
Exactly.
Except they didn't forego the laning phase in the end because Wei had so much pressure on that bottom side that they just destroyed the laning phase instead.
And even the fact that JackeyLove and yuyanjia were just making mistakes, right? They were just getting hit by every binding. So ShiauC playing well, JackeyLove and yuyanjia making mistakes, and they're the one with combat summoners, is the funny part.
Yeah, that's not a fight that they should be winning, as Karsa goes for a 1v1 with Xiaobai. It's not one that he can consistently win there. Does mean the Wei now gets to go for this Ocean Drake, and you know, I said it as a positive earlier. The top esports had got the first 2 Drakes. And that it was going to be an Ocean Soul, so that could be good for top esports. But actually, when they're this far behind, oh my goodness. Everything was already used. So that was the long-range pick potential we were talking about. And JackeyLove ain't going to get any tankier. They're going to get more damage. It's only going to get worse for him.
I'm still saying I would have loved 3rd item death cap coming out from Wei. I'm just going to keep saying that. I love that build. But
hey,
looks
well,
like we're
he could finish a Morello,
yeah,
so that would still be 3rd item death cap.
I guess 2.5 item death cap. The Oblivion Orb is always nice, but, you know, oh well. Wei's still going to do a ton of damage in these fights, and I guess he probably got another Dark Harvest staff from JackeyLove.
Here we go. Top Esports deciding it's time to make a play, but Fenfen, he's real quick. He has the Ghost from the mid lane. He's got a Dead Man's Plate, and he's running at the speed of light.
I mean, this is going to be tough, right? Because we see them looking for the pick on the side with having the double TP, obviously use the Realm Warp in that situation, but picking off Fenfen's going to be so hard. It's extremely tanky at this point already, having the Dead Man's Plate, and even just the Bombing Cinder sure doesn't have any magic resist. But as you saw, he has the Ghost, he has the ultimate as well, he has the Flash still up. Oh, we see eStar bot lane coming.
Yeah, Knight could be the one in trouble this time around. He's pushed too far out, doesn't have the Realm Warp because he used that to try and make a play elsewhere. With a Hextech Ultimatum, I mean, there's nothing he can do about that one. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to go down in that situation. yuyanjia could be the next one. Ace in the hole. My goodness. And he's even got a Caitlyn emote to boot. That is beautiful.
We said Fenfen is undefeated on Sett. And that's actually going to stay true up against top esports.
I cannot believe this is what we're witnessing. Today has been a weird day, Lyric.
Like, I don't think any of us have actually like talked to you about it, but I'm sure internally we all kind of memed you for predicting W over top esports. But now you look like the big brain
I'm feeling
five-head.
good about that prediction right now.
Oh, jeez.
I predicted it emotionally because I want WE to make playoffs. And that's basically the only way it's going to work now. But maybe it works. Maybe they do win because, although I will say, it does feel like it was Jomung that kind of fell apart in the most recent series. So, I don't know. I honestly have no idea who wins that anymore. But it should have been top esports as a heavy favorite. Anyway, let's take another look.
Yep, we see them, you know, like, Knight's already pretty much confirmed dead, right? He got locked down, Fenfen was there, the TP was committed. I'm surprised he does so much damage. And again,
I love Caitlyn.
this is IE into rapid fire, still hitting like a truck. I think he also did have the agility cloak for even, for even extra crits.
So he had like 70% crit chance. So, you know, like, this is the thing. If your headshot crits, you do nutso damage. There is no armor there for yuyanjia. He'd already used his shield, so, like, that is what happens. That is how Caitlyn functions. Interesting that we are going to see the double Zeal build coming through. I've been actually playing a bit of Caitlyn recently, trying them out. It really does feel better having the double VF sword build.
Well, and the thing is, right, it's not even weird for the LPL anymore. I saw some fans like calling it troll, like, oh, you know, this isn't cool, why are they doing this? But we see it every game. Like, it's not something that if you're watching LPL you should think is weird. Sure, you can question, is it better than the BF sword build? I don't think so. I think community sentiment is right now that feels better for Kate, but still, LPL pros aren't doing it. And we're going to live in that world. We do live in that world.
We do live in that world. I don't think, like, here's the thing, right? I don't think that the difference is so massive that it's like, I don't think players should be being flamed for building double Zeal Caitlyn. Like, double Zeal Caitlyn still does great damage, still got great late game, it's still fantastic. Like, in fact, we're not even going to see double Zeal Caitlyn. As much as we're talking about it, Wink just going with a really late BF sword and an early crit Kate. Which usually you see it the other way around. Usually if you're building BF sword, you build the AD first and then crit later.
I don't like seeing players flame for decisions like this regardless, which might sound weird as someone who, you know, criticizes some player decisions.
It is your job, to be fair.
Yes. And
But I agree with your sentiment, though. Like, so much of this is down to personal preference on top of everything else, because ultimately, especially if you're, like, let's say you're Wink, for example, you have played so much Caitlyn over the years, like, you are used to a certain amount of attack speed. Like, when you build differently, it does feel like a different champion sometimes, especially if you're, like, double Zeal items for crit 80 carries has been standard for literally, like, 8 years. Like, it's hard to get used to not having that.
Yeah, breaking, like, such ingrained habits, but top esports coming in, 369 doing a good job of understanding he has to be the one to face check.
Here we go, got a bit of a team fight as well. That's going to be Wei going down, but he's Karthus, so he doesn't really mind all too much. yuyanjia the next one to fall, the long range damage, but he actually survives in the end of things now. eStar trying to continue the play as Knight zips on out, but Karsa can't get into the ulti. It's going to be 2 for 1 in favor of eStar.
And I mean, that's just what happens when you have a Karthus. It actually, even if Wei had like flashed onto top esports before he died, I actually feel like they would have come out with so much more, but still, sure, you do pick off the jungler, but guess what? They are still going to get this Ocean Drake. They got 2 kills, one of them onto your AD carry, who, again, as this game goes on, JackeyLove is going to be such a huge part having the Karma to buff him up to deal all this damage, and I think eStar is still comfortably in the driver's seat. I mean, they're still 6K gold ahead.
Yeah, they're feeling fantastic. I mean, they won the fight as well, even though Wei went down first. Like, they still won everything.
Again, luckily, they do get him far enough to where his E and Q aren't really able to do anything in the fight despite being dead. They keep going forward. Nice block coming out from Karsa, but still, they do move forward here.
So it's important to mention as well that even though he didn't get the kill onto yuyanjia, because yuyanjia went down anyway, he still got the Dark Harvest proc. It was low enough that he still got that extra stack of Dark Harvest.
Karsa not going through the Realm Warp, securing that kill for eStar. Now eStar going to transition this into some vision topside.
Top Esports are looking to make a play here.
But hey, there's the completed double BF sword item that we talked about.
I love this. This is the kind of play we need to see out of them. Arrow goes on through. Xiaobai's the target, but he's Camille. See you later, says Xiaobai. And, well, I liked it conceptually. It did not work out.
And now we talked about, right, Camille's pressure in the side lane, so we see Xiaobai heading down there. Can push out these waves. They're going to continuously have threat on top side. And the thing is, I expect Top Esports to keep looking for these plays where they send both Knight and 369 to answer, because if just one of them is left in a side lane with the Camille, we need to remember that Karthus Oath will be available soon. Even just Wink leaning down to, you know, get that ultimate could lead to someone dying. So they're going to definitely need numerous members to deal with him. Luckily for now, Top Esports have both TPs up. So if eStar do go for a Baron here, they will be able to react accordingly.
They'll be able to react, but I don't know if they can win the fight if they do react here. And let's just reiterate that the Baron threat from a Karthus, especially a fed Karthus, is terrifying. They can burn that Baron down so damn quick. Blue buff getting low here. 369 is the one to finish it off. Xiaobai decided not to commit fully to the contest there.
I think eStar are fine to just keep playing this game out at this pace, right? Keep having Xiaobai pressure in the side lane, just have fun answer waves top. Keep threatening this Baron, and I'd say hopefully force out some teleports. And here's the play we talked about with Knight looking for a play bot lane.
Yeah, Knight has the Realm Warp available, but it looks like Xiaobai are going to completely respect this one. And this is not just like a disappointing performance so far from Top Esports. This is also a surprisingly great performance coming out from eStar. Like, eStar have looked real bad this split. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's been rough. But this game, they're looking fantastic. Like, I mean, mechanics have been on point. The team play's been on point.
Especially the 2v2 in the bot lane, I think, was, you know, exceptional. Because as we talked about, we saw the same matchup the other day where the Ashe and Karma just did so much work, but we saw ShiauC hitting those key skill shots. Wink had the trust, was comboing those into some nice traps, and they found so many kills, rotated that pressure around the map to stack up these objectives, and now they're looking good. Also, Wei just got a Void Staff, so again, only getting stronger and stronger. Still not really much MR. There's a Hex Drinker on JackeyLove, so as well as the Athenes on yuyanjia, of course, so it is making sense, you know, what the build he's going towards. And only one stack of the Dark Seal, but hey, doesn't matter.
That's okay. He gets away with it. The Void Staff, though, is just... It's like insult to injury, honestly, at this point. Like, there was already so little MR, and he's like, ha ha ha. Even if you buy it, it doesn't matter. JackeyLove going to be hoping that Hex Drinker will save him. Worth mentioning as well, he can build more now. More was banned during 10-14. It is back. They can build more. There's no more bugs, so it's not like the Hex Drinker removes an item from his build entirely.
Nope, and we see eStar going back to that play that we talked about, right? Just continue to have Xiaobai pressure in the side lane. And again, I want to see them pressure Baron, try to force out a TP now, or even just let Xiaobai win in that 1v1 trade.
The Wall of Pain as well does give vision over that wall, so nicely done there by Wei to make sure that they know exactly what Karsa is doing.
Ooh, 369?
It's on to Wei, but ShiauC gets in with the McHale's, knocked up across the wall here as Wink is getting real low already in this fight. They need to be cautious, but 369 doesn't have much follow-up from the rest of his team. Now they go in. Now they're looking for kills. Wei, the first one to go down. Fenfen pulls someone else out of the fight as ShiauC just snipes Karsa out. Top Esports, 1-for-1. This is the best it's looked all game for them, except that was 4v5.
Xiaobai is taking an inhibitor, and great execution coming from eStar. We set up this play for the past 5 minutes. Hey, this is available. Great to see from them pulling 369.
ShiauC won't even let them recall. He's not letting them go anywhere. The inhib went down. Xiaobai gets away scot-free, and Another Ocean Drake's about to spawn.
3 Ocean Drakes for the side of eStar, especially when you do want to play these fights, you know, very, very long, very extended with the Caitlyn and the Lux. I mean, they absolutely love this.
Give me more of this composition. I want to see other teams playing this kind of composition because I saw the Karthus, I saw the Caitlyn look, so I was like, oh, this is going to be a little bit silly. This is going to be a bit of a funny game. This is looking disgusting. This is looking so strong.
And it's so nice, too, because a big problem with Karthus is when you have, like, let's say you have a bunch of losing matchups and you can't just, you know, have your jungler baited, things like that, but their bot lane's setting up nicely. We see good setup from Lucas9. A bit of a whoopsie with the E right there, but, you know, we'll let that one slide. We see them running forward. Wei does end up going down. Fenfen so close, but actually the showstopper not even taking the ultimates. Huh. I know he dodged out on Karthus art.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't have the above his head.
Cool. I guess he's on target ball, right?
Yeah.
So if you're, you have to already be mid showstopper when Karthus presses R.
Which he was.
Which he was in that example.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, you'd have to do an exceptional amount of predicting work to be able to do it to dodge the ultimate.
It would have to be the enemy, obviously, electing into it.
You've already been targeted when the laser is above your head, so I think you still take damage if that's already gone through. Speaking of damage, that's a lot of long-range damage from eStar. As top esports try and rush this Baron, it's not going to work for them.
Xiaobai has TP as well, so he can be here.
Or he can just not TP, just stay in the bottom lane and end the game. eStar are just going to play interference here. They won't allow top esports to recall. And if top esports does recall, then eStar just take Baron instead. We've seen a TP from Knight to make sure that the base doesn't fall here, but now Knight is stuck in this space. There's TP being channeled as well from Wink. They're just going to end the game. They're just going to kill Knight, get into the base. Wink annihilates towers. This game is over. At 30 minutes, eStar have just destroyed top esports.
Top esports just got stopped by eStar.